All right, so let's go ahead and work through this algebra quiz review for quadratic formula. Remember that the quadratic formula is x equals negative b plus or minus radical b squared minus 4ac over 2a. And when you go to use this to solve these equations, you're going to use parentheses and then substitute the correct values for each variable and then work it out. So let's take a look at number 1. It says 2x squared minus 4x minus 16 equals 0. Let's set up our formula. X equals negative b plus or minus radical b squared minus 4 times a times c over 2a. Let's plug in our values. Our b value is negative 4. Our a value is 2. That goes here and down here. And our c value is negative 16. Then we're going to work this out. So we have here negative 4. So that's positive 4 plus or minus. Negative 4 squared is 16. And negative 4 times positive 2 is negative 8. And negative 8 times negative 16 equals 128. So we have 16 plus 128 over 2 times 2 is 4. And we add 16 and 128 and we get 144. So 4 plus or minus radical 144 over 4. And we know that 144 is a perfect square. So this is 4 plus or minus 12 over 4. And now we could write our two separate expressions. So one is going to be 4 plus 12 over 4, and the other one's going to be 4 minus 12 over 4, and we work these out. 4 plus 12 is 16, and 16 divided by 4 is 4, and 4 minus 12 is negative 8, and negative 8 divided by 4 is negative 2. So these are our two solutions, 4 and negative 2. All right, on number 2 here, you see I have already written my quadratic formula with parentheses. Now we just need to plug in our values. So our b value is negative 3. That goes here and here. Our a value is 1. And our c value is 2. And we work it out. So negative 3, that is positive 3 plus or minus radical. Negative 3 squared is 9. Negative 4 times 1 is negative 4 times 2 is a negative 8. And 2 times 1 is 2. 9 minus 8 is 1. So this is 3 plus or minus radical 1 over 2. Remember that 1 is a perfect square. The square root of 1 is 1. So we have 3 plus or minus 1 over 2. And these are our two expressions. So we have here 3 plus 1 over 2 and 3 minus 1 over 2. 3 plus 1 is 4. And 4 divided by 2 is 2. It's one of our solutions. And here 3 minus 1 is 2. And 2 divided by 2 is 1. That's the other one of our solutions. All right, looking at number 3, b squared minus 2b minus 15 equals 0. Already in standard form. Let's plug in our values. Our b value is negative 2. Our a value is 1. And our c value is negative 15. Work it out. Negative 2, that's positive 2, plus or minus. Negative 2 squared is 4. Negative 4 times 1 times negative 15 is positive 60 over 2. And 6 plus 4 is 64. So this is 2 plus or minus radical 64 divided by 2. And the square root of 64 is 8. So we have 2 plus or minus 8 divided by 2. And here are our two expressions. 2 plus 8 divided by 2 and 2 minus 8 divided by 2. Well, 2 plus 8 is 10. And 10 divided by 2 is 5. That's one of our solutions. And 2 minus 8 is negative 6. And negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 3. That's the other one of our solutions. All right, looking at number 4, n squared plus 3n minus 18 equals 0, already in standard form. Let's plug in our values. Our b value is 3. Our a value is 1. And our c value is negative 18. So we have here negative 3 plus or minus. 3 squared is 9. And negative 4 times 1 times negative 18 is positive 72. And 2 times 1 is 2. Well, 9 plus 72 is 81. So we have here negative 3 plus or minus radical 81 over 2. And 81 is a perfect square. The square root of 81 is 9. So we have negative 3 plus or minus 9 over 2. And here are our two equations, or our two expressions. Negative 3 plus 9 over 2 and negative 3 minus 9 over 2. Now, negative 3 plus 9 is 6. And 6 divided by 2 is 3. And negative 3 minus 9 is negative 12. And negative 12 divided by 2 is negative 6. So those are our two solutions. So taking a look at number 5, what you'll notice is that this equation is not in standard form. We need it to be in standard form in order to be able to use the quadratic formula. So we need to take this negative 2r and move it to the other side, making it a positive 2r. So we have 5r squared plus 2r equals 7. And then we also need to move the 7 over because we need to set the equation equal to 0. So you could move it over, or you can think subtract 7 from both sides. Either way, we get what I want, which is not what I want, what we want, which is 5r squared plus 2r minus 7 equals 0. And now we can use the quadratic formula. So we're going to set this up. So x equals negative b plus or minus radical b squared minus 4 times a times c over 2a. Plug in our values. Our b value is 2. Our a value is 5. And our c value is negative 7. So we have here negative 2 plus or minus 2 squared is 4. And negative 4 times 5, that's negative 20, times negative 7 is positive 140. And 2 times 5 is 10. 4 plus 140 is 144. So negative 2 plus or minus radical 144 over 10. 144 is a perfect square. The square root of 144 is 12. So we have here negative 2 plus or minus 12 divided by 10. And here we have our two expressions. So negative 2 plus 12 divided by 10 and negative 2 minus 12 divided by 10. So negative 2 plus 12 is 10, and 10 divided by 10 is 1. And negative 2 minus 12 is negative 14, and negative 14 divided by 10 is negative 1.4. All right, so number 6 is another equation that needs to be put in standard form first. So we take this negative 6p, move it over. This gives us p squared plus 6p equals negative 8. Then we also have to move that negative 8 over, either by moving it or adding 8 to both sides. We get p squared plus 6p plus 8 equals 0. And now we can use our quadratic formula. X equals negative b plus or minus radical b squared minus 4 times a times c over 2a. Plug in our values. Our b value is 6. Our a value is 1. And our c value is 8. And we work it out. So we have negative 6 plus or minus. 6 squared is 36. Negative 4 times 1 is negative 4 times 8 is negative 32. And 2 times 1 is 2. Well, 36 minus 32 is 4. So we have here negative 6 plus or minus radical 4 divided by 2. 4 is a perfect square. The square root of 4 is 2. So we have negative 6 plus or minus 2 divided by 2. And here are our two expressions. Negative 6 plus 2 divided by 2 and negative 6 minus 2 divided by 2. Negative 6 plus 2 is negative 4. Negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2. That's one of our solutions. Negative 6 minus 2 is negative 8. And negative 8 divided by 2 is negative 4. That's the other one of our solutions. Number 7, in order to put it in standard form, we just need to move this negative 2k over here. This gives us 5k squared plus 2k minus 24 equals 0. Set up our quadratic formula. X equals negative b plus or minus b squared minus 4 times a times c over 2a. Plug in our values. Our b value is 2. Our a value is 5. And our c value is negative 24. So we have here negative 2 plus or minus 2 squared is 4. Negative 4 times 5 is negative 20. And 20 times 24, or negative 20 times negative 24 is 480. Over 2 times 5 is 10. 4 plus 480 is 484. So negative 2 plus or minus radical 484 over 10. 484 is a perfect square. The square root of 484 is 22. So we have here negative 2 plus or minus 22 over 10. And this gives us our two expressions. So negative 2 plus 22 divided by 10 and negative 2 minus 22 divided by 10. So negative 2 plus 22 is 20. Go back and do this in red. 20 divided by 10, which is 2. And negative 2 minus 22 is negative 24 divided by 10, which equals negative 2.4. Number 8, to put it in standard form, we just need to move this 55, or you could think subtract 55 from both sides. We get x squared minus 6x minus 55 equals 0. Set up our quadratic formula. X equals negative b plus or minus b squared minus 4 times a times c over 2a. Plug in our values. Our b value is negative 6. Our a value is 1. And our c value is negative 55. So we have here negative 6. So 6 plus or minus radical. Negative 6 squared is 36. And negative 4 times negative 55 is positive 220. And 2 times 1 is 2. 36 plus 220 is 256. So 6 plus or minus radical 256 divided by 2. The square root of 256 is 16. So we have 6 plus or minus 16 divided by 2. Here are our two expressions. 6 plus 16 divided by 2 and 6 minus 16 divided by 2. 6 plus 16 is 22. 22 divided by 2, I should have done this in a different color, is 11. And 6 minus 16 is negative 10. And negative 10 divided by 2 is negative 5. So for number 9, in order to put it in standard form, we need to move this 18 or subtract 18 from both sides. We get 5b squared plus 10b minus 18 equals 0. So we plug in our values. Our b value is 10. Our a value is 5. And our c value is negative 18. So we have negative 10 plus or minus 10 squared is 100. And negative 4 times 5 times negative 18 is positive 360. And 2 times 5 is 10. Now 100 plus 360 is 460, so negative 10 plus or minus radical 460 divided by 10. 460 is not a perfect square, so let's round it to the nearest thousandth because that's how they do it on this review sheet. So the square root of 460 rounded to the nearest thousandth is 21.448. So we have negative 10 plus or minus 21.448 divided by 10. So our two expressions are going to be negative 10 plus 21.448 over 10 and negative 10 minus 21.448 over 10. We work this out. Negative 10 plus 21.448 is 11.448, and 11.448 divided by 10 is going to be 1.1448. And if we round that to the nearest thousandth, that's going to be 1.145. On the next one, negative 10 minus 21.448 is going to be negative 31.448 divided by 10. And when I divide that, I get negative 3.145. So these are our two solutions. To get number 10 into standard form, we need to take this 5x and move it over here. So we have here x squared minus 5x minus 12 equals 0. Now we can plug in our values. Our b value is negative 5. Our a value is 1. And our c value is negative 12. So negative 5, so we have 5 plus or minus. Negative 5 squared is 25. And negative 4 times negative 12 is positive 48 over 2. And 25 plus 48 is 73. 5 plus or minus radical 73 over 2. And 73 is not a perfect square. So the square root of 73 rounded to the nearest thousandth is going to be 8.544. So 5 plus or minus 8.544 divided by 2. So we have our two expressions, 5 plus 8.544 over 2 and 5 minus 8.544 over 2. So 5 plus 8.544 is going to be 13.544. And 13.544 divided by 2 is 6.772. That's approximately, right? Remember, all of these are technically approximately. I didn't do it on the other one, but they're approximate because we are rounding irrational numbers. Down here, 5 minus 8.544 is going to be negative 3.544 divided by 2. And that is going to be negative, or approximately, negative 1.772. Those are our two solutions. For number 11, we need to move 10k and 4. So if I take 10k over here, I get 7k squared minus 10k equals 4. Then if I move the 4 or subtract 4 from both sides, I get 7k squared minus 10k minus 4 equals 0. And now I can use my quadratic formula. So I have my quadratic formula, and I can enter my values. My b value is negative 10. My a value is 7. And my c value is negative 4. So we can work this out. Negative 10. 10 plus or minus. Negative 10 squared is 100. And negative 4 times 7 times negative 4 is positive 112. 2 times 7 is 14. We got 10 plus or minus radical. 100 plus 112 is 212 over 14. 212 is not a perfect square, so we need to find the square root and round it to the nearest thousandth. And this one actually rounds to 14.56. So we have 10 plus or minus 14.56 over 14. And so we have our two expressions. 10 plus 14.56 over 14, and 10 minus 14.56 over 14. 10 plus 14.56 is 24.56, and 24.56 divided by 14 is 1.7542, so we're going to round this approximately 1.754. And 10 minus 14.56 is going to be negative 4.56. And negative 4.56 divided by 14 is going to be negative 3.257. So negative 0.326. For number 12, we need to move negative 9n over here. So this gives us 2n squared plus 9n plus 6 equals 0. So we can substitute our values now. We have our b value is 9, our a value is 2, and our c value is 6. So we have negative 9 plus or minus 9 squared is 81, and negative 4 times 2 is negative 8 times 6 is negative 48. 2 times 2 is 4. Now 81 minus 48 is 33, so negative 9 plus or minus radical 33 divided by 4. And 33 is not a perfect square, so the square root of 33 rounded to the nearest thousandth is going to be 5.745. So we have here negative 9 plus or minus 5.745 over 4. And we have our two expressions. So negative 9 plus 5.745 divided by 4, and negative 9 minus 5.745 divided by 4. Negative 9 plus 5.745 is negative 3.255. And negative 3.255 divided by 4 is approximately negative 0.814. And negative 9 minus 5.745 is negative 14.745 divided by 4 is approximately negative 3.686.